Tuesday, which I call Titty Tuesday.
Today is International Friendship Day.
Yes.
Bringing all the friends and breasties together right now.
See what happens when you put some breasts together.
Exactly.
Everybody needs some breasts in their lives.
All these haters be damned. Like
You are, the breastie of all breasties.
Yeah, I think a breast friend is someone who really
It can get lonely out there when you are the only full buzz person in your circle, and you're like people are having conversations and you just don't fit in. Like, I don't know.
I was like, whoa, like I'm someone's busty role model.
You now have started a fun busty run club.
I'm like, have you tried it? Does it actually work?
Get results.
Big things happen.
Oh, I'm not doing jumping jacks.
And that's what I've heard a lot from other busties, that they've been like, the hate or judgment I get is more from other women than it is from men. I especially like held a lot of experiences to the chest, pun intended. Gosh, I noticed right away that I couldn't wear certain things that other figures could.
You might as well just be topless. I'm trying to tell you for centuries.
Breast secrets.
Yes, those men are always behind something.
That's the story. That's the tale.
Let's talk about breasts.
Let's talk about you and me.
Let's talk about all the good things
and all the bad things.
Welcome back to another episode of Boob Tube. This is episode 51, and we are excited about this conversation. I am Chantel.
I'm your breast friend, Jaleesa, and our special guest is...
Hi, I'm Bridget. From Busties Forever.
Yay! This is going to make for a great conversation, especially since today is International Friendship Day.
Yes.
Bringing all the friends and breasties together right now.
Yes.
International Friendship Day originated in Paraguay by two men promoting friendship and peace. Those men are always behind something. All right, but before we get into today's discussion, let's take it to the streets.
What type of breast secrets do you think breast friends share?
We share secrets about size in regards to wearing a bra and not wearing a bra.
Gotcha.
What type of breast secrets do you think women talk about?
Breast secrets?
Yes.
What's the thing, too heavy.
Too heavy, okay.
I talked to somebody yesterday. A matter of fact, it did yesterday. Saying it's super hot up under there. You know, I wish they could lift them up.
They need something to lift them up?
Yeah. Breast secrets. Only thing I can say is probably finding the right outfit for certain outfits for their breasts to look perky or look right in or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they'll be wanting to wear a bra with their outfit, so it be that.
Okay. What type of breast secrets do you think best friends share?
Breast secrets. Maybe our stories of getting a mammogram.
Okay.
We're back. So we'll give the guest of honor the honor of starting us off. What do you think about what was said in Boob Tube on the Move?
I love it. This is a very fun segment, and I think it's really eye-opening to hear what women actually share with their friends who have boobs, and then what men perceive it. And it seems like the men perceive more like superficial things that women are talking about, where women more with each other are talking about real health of their bodies and being a concern. I think especially in our country where healthcare is not a right, that's an extremely valid conversation that women are having with each other. So I thought it was really interesting and such a fun segment.
Yes, for sure. I agree with, I mean, I haven't had a mammogram, but I imagine that those are things that are shared with other women, well, your breast friends, your breasties. But everything else, I feel like you pretty much share just about everything you can think of. Size, bras, bra sizes. I don't know.
Boob tape. I talk about boob tape with my friends, especially with it being wedding season. I'm like, have you tried it? Does it actually work? What brands?
Yeah,
Especially having big boobs. You're very curious about boob tape. So that's something I'm always asking about.
that's a
Yeah.
whole nother conversation for sure.
That's a whole other episode.
Yeah, literally. So yeah, I think I would share those things or we've talked about like the how they say, oh, your nipples or your areolas, whatever, are the same color as your lips. So
Yeah.
I'll be like, well, is that true for you? Is that true for you? And all that. So just about anything I could think of.
Yeah, I didn't have that conversation with friends about the areola nipples, but I don't even think we too much talked about sizes. And I think at some point, I think becomes a certain, well, I guess women are getting mammograms at a certain age, so young girls are not talking about the mammograms. But I wonder if sharing that experience really does go a long way as far as the conversations amongst women, because I still hear women not particularly sharing a lot of that experience when it comes to breast health is how their mammograms are going. So,
Yeah.
but
There are definitely women that don't like to discuss
Hmm.
involving the breast.
yeah,
So
Hmm.
yeah.
more talks about all of it needs the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hmm.
Okay. So we did have an episode before about breast friends, and we just talked about an array of things, but some of the things we want to revisit, but we're going to revisit it with you, of course, because you're our guest of honor. So one of the things is, how would you define a breast friend? Since you are, the breastie of all breast.
Yeah, I think a breast friend is someone who really doesn't judge you at all and is a safe space in general. I
Mhm,
think for me, and I've learned now with Busties Forever that like growing up, and I learned that a lot of busties had a similar experience. I was the only person in my friend group who had big boobs, and I
mhm,
developed big boobs quite at a young age. Like I would say by the time I was a freshman in high school, like I was already like D, double D, and they kept growing.
mhm,
And some of my friends really could not relate. I felt very judged for having big boobs. And then some were a lot more empathetic and got it and, didn't judge the fact that I would wear, two sports bras to gym class. And you had
mhm.
others who were like, oh my gosh, like, why are you doing that? So I think your breast friend can be someone who has a different shape than you, but just ultimately does not judge you and is there to like support you, whether it is getting a mammogram or just like venting that you can't wear any of the summer styles because they have no support because you have a big chest. I think they're just your ultimate safe space and no judgment.
Yeah, I can agree with all that you said. As you were talking, I was thinking about too, like going shopping as a young lady with big breasts, and if you had a breast friend who was sympathetic of that shopping experience could have been a little bit more joyful. So if you're out there, breast friends, and you're not the same size as your other breast friend, just consider your busty breast friend who may
Yes.
have to like shop for swimwear, different tops, like maybe
Mhm.
perhaps have some ideas in mind and like, oh, let's match. Like I can't.
Yeah,
So being
totally.
sympathetic of that.
Yes.
I think that made me think about even when it came to cleavage and certain tops, because
Mhm.
when you're a busty, it just creates its own cleavage. And then it's like you thought this top might have worked, and you put it on, your friend's like, you might as well just be topless. And I was like, can't wear this. This isn't
At
gonna
least
go
your
as
breast friend is being
planned.
honest.
Yeah. Like,
Yes.
all right. Thanks. Thanks for that. Thanks, Breastie. So since you were the busty friend, I imagine you weren't able to maybe share certain, you wouldn't have been able to share tops or like swim
Mm.
tops or bras and stuff with your breast friends.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I especially like held a lot of experiences to the chest, pun intended, because it was like, oh, they're not gonna get it or they're not gonna relate. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until I got like really until I started Busties Forever a few years ago now that I started to chat with other people that I identified as being busty. I think especially like the workplace prompted this. Once
Mhm.
I entered more corporate America, I think especially when you have big boobs, and there's so many other factors that perhaps you are more aware of when you enter corporate America. But I was like, oh gosh, I noticed right away that I couldn't wear certain things that other figures could. And in my first job, actually, and I'm in PR, so a pretty like creative field. Like I was in my early 20s, like, my boss pulled me aside and said, like, I wore a top that was, like, too low cut, and it was a very hip, like, PR agency, and I was kinda like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, I see people wearing, like, acid wash jeans that are, like, skin tight and everything else, so I learned really quickly that because I had a big chest, I couldn't wear certain things or I it was judged much more, and that started to prompt me to look for busty people in the workplace and see what they wore and just start to model myself after them and start to have that conversation. Just, where do you get your outfits? What do you feel comfortable wearing? And things like that. So I feel like I started to identify breast friends once I entered the corporate world.
So was that boss a man or a woman?
It was a woman,
Uh,
um, and I hope, like, now, because that was, like, 2014, I feel like maybe that wouldn't have happened today, and also, I was so much younger, I was just like yes, deep down, I was kinda like, "What?" But I was also like, "Oh my gosh," like, my body offended someone, like, it got brought up where I feel like if that happened to me today in my low 30s, I would make such a scene about it, like, 'cause I'm a lot more confident, and I know I'm more aware of, like, no, I wasn't wearing anything inappropriate, like, it's not my fault that literally a body part made someone uncomfortable.
yeah.
Um, yeah, but yeah, it was a woman.
Mm.
I've had women in the workplace where I feel like the reason I asked one, well, I was curious because I was like,
Yeah,
man, it might have been a little weird. But
right.
women, sometimes, in all honesty, they can kind of be on like some hater type stuff, which I know, like, it does not, I understand it's not always the case. Like, sometimes
Mhm.
fine. But sometimes people are on some hater stuff, and it's just like, okay. And yeah, so I don't know. You know her, I don't. So I don't know if it was a matter of hateration in this workplace or if it was just like if someone said something to her,
Right.
whatever it was, where she
Did
felt
someone actually say something?
yeah.
And that's
It
what I've
was
heard a
odd.
lot from other busties that they've been like, the hate or judgment I get is more from other women than it is
Mhm.
from men, which is eye-opening.
Women in the workplace are horrible. Let's just
Yeah.
they can be on some extremely other stuff.
So have
And
y'all
Yeah,
found breast friends in the workplace?
I think I have. When I left
oh,
actually that agency, like on my last day, this woman came up to me and she was like, I just want to let you know I'm busty and I've always looked to see how you dress so I can see like, oh, can I pull off something like that? And
that's
that's when I was like, whoa, like I'm someone's busty role model. And then when I went into the next position, I identified someone who's busty and I paid very close attention to what she wore. And it's interesting because like I feel that and I wonder if y'all agree, but I think specifically busty women in society are like not portrayed great in pop culture and music, television. Like you're usually kind of the punchline, kind of a cartoon character. Obviously, they make you promiscuous. You don't see a lot of busty like bosses or like being taken seriously. And it sounds so specific and kind of odd, but I still haven't seen like more curvy women in the workplace who are like at the top or leaders. And I wonder if there's just some like bias there. I don't know, but it's just something like I've noticed as my career has grown.
Hmm.
Haven't seen.
As you mentioned that, I'm thinking of some who were in position, but they were not in position long, and for whatever
Mm,
reason, and I won't necessarily associate that with their. I don't know what's associate
right.
that with it, but I think there sometimes there comes a certain busty women have to present a certain way. Like we're gonna show up confidently, and you just have to
Mhm,
accept it, or you are more reserved and you get overlooked. So I think there's this line where if you're too much attitude wise and too busty, or you're not, you're trying to stay subtle, but it's causing you to
mhm.
really be subtle and fly under the radar. But where is that happy medium?
Right. Yeah, like on my account, I found like most women who have naturally big boobs are not confident about it. You're always hiding them. You're always, especially at work, even your posture, you're kind of like, not like this, you're like this. And that, when you have that sort of body language, it can force people to pass by you or
Yeah.
not talk to you. And I just like had that thought right now as I was listening to you speak. Like, it can definitely affect like if you get promoted, if you don't, if you, people go to you for certain projects, and if they don't, just based on like your body language and your confidence.
And then it goes back to that, what do you wear when you're in certain positions too?
Yeah,
Because if you are already like getting chastised for, look what you have
yeah.
on, there are certain jackets do not look good
Mhm.
oversized on even, like Busty, because I mean it just, a lot of things just don't look good on some of us just because they don't make it
Yes.
right. But
Yeah,
there's that piece too. I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah.
I have I've encountered I do have some lasting friendships from like female coworkers and stuff.
Mhm.
One boss, she was really nice. She's the only boss I ever liked. But yeah, she's not busty at all. But yeah,
Yeah,
only boss like that wasn't on the typical boss thing, how they can get. But
yeah,
ultimately I feel
yeah.
like it was
There's
a hater. I
yes,
put it out
there's
there.
y'all might know her. I would say she's like, I don't know if she's busty or not, but Badass Boz on Instagram. She used to be the chief marketing officer for like Netflix and Pepsi. She's like really big. She's going to be on the new season of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And she's like she's so inspiring, first of all. And as CMO, like there's a image people have. You're really buttoned up, you're super professional. And she's really the opposite. Like on her Instagram, she's living it up in a bikini and really challenges that whole idea that she's supposed to be covered up because she's a senior leader. And just how like the expectation is men can pretty much do whatever they want. Like nobody cares. In fact, it would be like, oh wow, he keeps himself up, he keeps himself in shape, where a woman does and shares that on her social media, it's like really frowned upon. And she really inspires me to show up all the time as my authentic self. And I would highly encourage everyone to check her out because she is so truly badass boss. She's so cool.
Mm.
Thing I think about is it's not like she's working 24/7. Like she can't have a
Exactly.
personal life.
Yeah.
She can't go to the beach one day and have a picture. Like
About it. Exactly.
problem. People are people are haters. Just
For
leave
sure.
it. Okay. So we can dive into some questions. I think that you already kind of answered one of
Uh-huh.
the main questions, which was like, what made you start Busties Forever? And what's your primary focus? So was the start when you started to reach out to other busty women after having the experience at work from your hater boss?
Yeah, kind of. So Busties Forever started a few years ago, and I did connect with a coworker who was similarly shaped as me, like more on the petite side, but has big boobs, and I'm an F cup, which everyone's always like, what? But
What is
all
up?
boobs hang differently and everyone shows up differently. And
Yeah.
she really enjoyed working out, and so do I. So we started kind of bonding over the fact that there were like no sports bras that just fit and were cute and not like $200. And at the time, we were like, oh, we're going to make our own sports bra. And then we found out really quickly that it was like a money pit and very challenging to make your own sports bra. So that friend unfortunately moved quite far away, and that dream kind of like went away. But I was like, I wonder if, like, I can't be alone. There has to be other people in my life who feel the same way. And like I shared, I didn't have a lot of, if any, like big boob friends. So I
Mhm.
went on Instagram like we do, and I added to my story, like, if you are a busty, I would love to just chat with you and hear about your experience developing big boobs. How do you feel about them? How do you live your life with them? And I got like 20 messages of women coming out who were like, wait, that's me. And yes, I would love to talk about my experience with you. So I interviewed like all of them, and I found out that I wasn't alone and that most of them had very complicated relationships with their boobs. They didn't really want naturally big boobs, but we're stuck with them, trying to find a way to work with it, how to dress, how to work out, and dating's a whole thing. So I was like, okay, I'm not doing sports bra, but there's something here and I just want to have the conversation. So I made Busties Forever on Instagram. And obviously Busties is like inspired by friendship. And I added the forever because I learned really quickly that a lot of busty women at least think about getting a reduction. And I found that a lot of them had gotten a reduction, but I still wanted them to feel part of the community. So I added that to it. And really, Busties Forever, I think for me, yes, it's a safe space to share these experiences that busty people had that most of us have never shared before. But I think it's also really showing that like boobs can have community and boobs can have friendships, and big boobs can be fashionable and they can be athletic and they can be smart and really powerful. And I think a lot of us have these boobs, we're walking around with them all day long, but we don't really think about them. I think we disassociate, especially if you have big boobs, or maybe you went through breast cancer, or you just have a strained relationship with them, which is most women. um, I just think it's important to have a safe space to share those experiences and hopefully at least start to accept and maybe one day come to love your boobs. That's
Love
the
it.
story. That's the tale.
Yeah.
Well, it's great. Like you said, having that community is important because I think a lot of women, young girls, walk around for so long not having that, and that can be isolating and not build up the confidence that's needed. So um, that definitely plays a part in making sure that you have someone you can talk to and relate to and identify with, because it can get lonely out there when you are the only full buzz person in your circle,
Yes,
and you're like
totally.
people are having conversations and you just don't fit in. Like, I don't know, I have this misfit mentality. I think I've always
Mhm.
had it since I was younger. And I
Mhm.
still carry it to this day. I just did not feel like I fit in.
Mhm.
But it's good when you have community so that you can find your people.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of the busties I chatted with, like before I made the account, I asked them, like, do you have anywhere that you're going for busty advice and stories? And they were like, no, I don't have anything.
So you've created the breast friend community. So what I guess within that community, what makes the women in your community breast friends, other than maybe just being busty? But what have you found that helps them be best friends?
Yeah, I would say I found my followers definitely have a sense of humor. I think if you're tuning in to chat about boobs, I've found the content that does well with them is kind of cheeky and funny. They really enjoy it. They're also really interested in any sort of, I would say maybe workout that they can do that helps with like neck and big back pain from big boobs. So I'm always doing like fun little videos there. And they're also really interested in other busty stories. I would say around breast reduction, there's a lot of curiosity there. And I love sharing real stories I get from busties. Same about dating. I think they just have a lot of shared experiences there that I would say are pretty negative online dating with big boobs. Um, as well as like breastfeeding, motherhood, especially for people with big boobs. I think there's a shared concern about getting pregnant and your boobs are getting bigger and what does that look like after you have a child. So they're very curious to learn more there. And then also like fashion too. Me myself, I'm just starting to go back to the office more. So I've been sharing what I'm wearing to the office, and that has landed really well. Just different outfit ideas that busties can feel comfortable and confident and still stylish in to wear at the office. So yeah, I would say they've got a sense of humor that unites them. They want to know stories. They're interested in anything they can do to make kind of the pains of having big boobs easier, and they love style.
Good to know.
So you did say, I think you already referenced your breast friend earlier in the conversation. So you do have a breast friend. And when I think about that now, I was like, well, we're all like in the breast world. So I feel like it's kind of easy for us to have
Yeah.
friends we could talk about breast stuff because they know that it's part of what we do. So it's like I feel like it's almost expected. But what would you say is the most ideal best friend? Like, how would you describe the most ideal
Mm.
breast friend for those who perhaps don't have them or don't know
Mhm.
exactly who in their circle is their best friend, maybe?
Yeah, I definitely would say, yeah, like empathetic, understanding. If they happen to have big boobs as well, it does make it easier. But if they don't, I think they can also be very helpful and inspiring. I definitely have noticed since starting the account within my own family, because my everyone in my family is very small chested, that they really stepped up and helped me um, with just like shopping and sharing tidbits and information that I might find interesting. Um, yeah, I think those are like really key attributes to a best friend.
I think that's telling. Like, I think it's people don't know. So you saying your family or is now help tidbits came out in my mind when you said that. But
Yeah,
they're stepping up with shopping and things. But it's like if you don't open your mouth or share what you're
yeah,
experiencing, people will not know. So I think that's very
yeah,
telling of the community that you're building because people want to be helpful and even like you said,
yeah.
empathetic too. So we just have to allow people in, and I think that's what this
Mhm.
community, what we're all building, is all about, is bringing awareness to that so that people can, hey, okay, this is where I can support you even if I don't fit your style or your
Mhm.
size, or you can't
Right.
wear my bra or my top
Yeah,
for that matter. This is what we can do together.
for sure. Totally. And when I started Busties Forever, I actually was chatting with a female a family member who is very small chested, and she shared with me like kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, where she was like, I felt so self-conscious for having small boobs, like I was really considering implants for a long time, and I had no idea that she felt that way or was struggling.
Mhm.
So it sounds silly, just talking about boobs can open up these deeper conversations, but I mean, it's true. There's so much that boobs go through and are such, I think, a central part of the feminine experience, from like motherhood to feeling like a girl. Like boobs are really big part of that experience, but then very few of us talk about them. So
Yeah,
it is important to chat about.
absolutely. Who would your celebrity best friend be and why?
You know what? I thought about this. Okay, I didn't write it down, but my initial thought was Jessica Simpson, because I remember growing up, and again, I developed big boobs like really early, and Jessica Simpson was one of the few like visible busty people that I saw. And then when she came out with her clothing line, I was like, Eureka! Like, she has to have something that is like built for busty people. And I felt really excited about that. So I would say her when I was growing up. And then I think now, being more mature, I think an older, like Padma Lakshmi, who I have met a couple times here in New York. She's amazing. But I view her as someone you kind of forget that she's busty and even was a model because she's so well known for like this incredible, really thoughtful career that she's had. And I think, poor Jessica, I think she got really kind of typecasted as like ditzy blonde, dumb blonde with big boobs for most of her career. I think she's kind of out of that now as she's gotten older, but I think she definitely got kind of put in that box more than other people at that time just because she had big boobs. But yeah, I think those would be my celebrity breast friends because they're both busty, different, very smart. They've made themselves into successful business women and they love fashion and know how to represent.
I didn't catch the second name for the model.
Padma Lakshmi, she was the host for Top Chef.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, I would have said maybe, I forget her real name. Is it Jessica Parker?
That's
Sarah
Sex and
Jessica
the City.
Parker?
Carrie Bradshaw.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah.
I guess because we were talking about Jessica Simpson, I could only get the Jessica. And I was like, I'm Jessica. Yeah. But that was the closest I can get for my guess. But Jessica Simpson, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's a fellow Texan. Jessica
Jessica?
Simpson.
Sarah
Yeah,
Jessica.
Jessica Simpson. She's like
Yeah.
a big Texan.
Yeah, a Southern girl.
Southern girl.
She always had nice shoes. I don't know. I don't think I ever wore any of her clothes, but I did have
Yeah,
some.
I like her shoes. I agree with you. I think her shoes are like the best thing that she sells.
Yeah, I'm a shoe lady. And I have a pair of shoes that, I saw once and never saw again. So RIP to them. But that's just how that cookie crumbled. But yeah, good shoes. Okay, so you did mention how you now have started a fun busty run club. So could you share some more about how that's been going and like your vision for it and everything?
Totally. Yes. So my new run club is called Boobs on the Move.
Okay.
Because eventually I want to do more than just running, but I love working out. However, it was a journey to get there. And I grew up in a running family, which is like a good thing and a bad thing. But I would say the running community overall, you don't see a lot of curves, especially big boobs. So there's just like another layer. And finding the right sports bra, one, just feeling confident enough to go out for a run in public with maybe an okay sports bra or three sports bras just to get through the run. And, I would say I've had experiences where I've been catcalled and harassed and just really uncomfortable comments from both men and women. And as I've gotten older, my confidence has grown where I'm just so committed to moving my body that I just don't care about any sort of comments. And I really wanted to share that with my community and create a safe space where we run together as besties and are like catcallers and all these haters be damned. Like we're getting our workout in and feeling that sense of empowerment together.
Yeah.
And so before I officially started the club, I polled my followers and was just curious if they felt that their big boobs prevent them from working out in public, period. And 70% said yes. So, really, my hope with this is if we come together and go for runs, it will inspire people to move their bodies all the time and not feel self-conscious or that they can't do it on their own. And so far we've had 2 meetings, and I've had a few runners come. The first one, we had 4 busties come, and the second one was last Tuesday, which I call Titty Tuesday.
Yeah.
And it was like 95 degrees here in New York and really humid, but we had 2 runners come, and so me included, it was 3. So we are starting it up. Just gonna see how it goes, but I really could see it being bigger and a really empowering, like badass busty safe space. And maybe one day we'll have like our own races and things like that, because I really believe that busty people can do anything. Like our boobs do want to move, and I think when we come together it makes it way easier to do it, period. Yes, that's more about boobs on the move.
Ooh, I can
Yeah.
see clubs sprouting out. I can be one of your supporters in one
Yeah,
of
we'll have
these
different
cities that I'm in. I can
chapters.
have I can represent 2 states at this point.
Yes.
So yeah, we could chat after. But I think that's great. That's of course, one of the reasons why I did design sports bra. But I told myself I'm not wearing any other. I think I didn't run for a year. So I'm like, till I get a sports bra out, I'm not wearing any other. I'm not gonna go running, and I didn't. But I look at it's Olympics season, and I'm like, where are the busty
Yeah,
Olympians?
yeah,
Like, where are these women at? And I remember being on
yeah.
a podcast with some they're male athletic trainers, and we were talking about some things. I'm like, you don't see busty athletes, not a
Mhm.
lot anyway, just because
Right.
I think at some point we get to the mindset where I don't want to do this anymore. And so just like you wanting to change that narrative. And I hear women, oh, I'm not doing jumping jacks. Or I
Yeah.
can, just a lot of things that we're not allowing our bodies to do because of our breasts. So trying to break that barrier.
Mhm.
So we're in this one together to solve that
No,
problem.
you're so right. Because I watched a little bit of like the trials, and I think, well, Olympians, like they're athletes, so they're not the most curvy, period. But I think you do see some like maybe thicker athletes these days, but they're still pretty small chested. And like, yeah, you just don't see a lot. And when you don't see people with big boobs being more fit and working out, like it just doesn't encourage you. And there's just so many hurdles
Hmm.
against people with big boobs to just move your body. One, just getting a sports bra. Also, they're really expensive. You can't afford it. Like, and there's just so much, even discomfort, like just pure discomfort to
Yeah,
move your body when you have big boobs. So
absolutely.
I
I remember.
salute you. Yeah, we're on the same page.
I remember one summer track, I was a volunteer coach for a summer track club, and they had the uniforms for the coaches. And I looked at I'm like, that top is not going to fit me. And so even thinking
Mm,
about uniforms when you're thinking about athletes, not even considering busty athletes. So there are
yeah.
athletes who are busty. There are women who are
Hmm.
competing in different things who are still busty, but you do just get discouraged because you're not even aside from the bras, they're not making
Yeah.
uniforms that really cater
Hmm.
to women,
Right.
full bust women. So those are just other
Yeah.
barriers that we'll have to figure out later on, but it's coming down the
Right.
line.
I was
Totally. Yeah.
thinking about
Like even,
training
yeah.
so hard.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was saying, I just thought about them training so hard as to why a lot of them end up not being busty, because I feel like they kind of
Mhm.
work away all their little breast fat. But then I thought about um who was that? Shakari. Is it
Hmm.
Shakari?
Mhm.
Hmm.
But she
Hmm.
got implants now.
Oh, that's
Mm.
what I was wondering what was going on. I'm like, is she busty or is she not? Because I
Yes.
didn't think she was at first. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what happened here? Because she looked like she could be busty. So
If I'm not
Wait a
mistaken,
minute.
she did get some, but like I had to go back and compare,
yeah.
check me people. But I think she did, and I feel like I remember seeing something about her saying like, I get like just because she's running track doesn't mean like she can't still look good while doing it, basically.
Yeah.
But
And she always looks good. Like I watched her try, like she doesn't even break a sweat. Like all
was
her hair's still on, her nails, her jewelry. Yeah, like off to brunch.
doesn't
Uh,
really sweating.
she does not break a sweat.
Yeah, I would have been sweating just from walking outside. But well, they're in Oregon, so it might be a little different. Their air, I'm sure, is way less humid than Houston's air. But
Yeah.
yeah, shout out to Texas for her. I just feel like some of the, especially like the swimmers, like you
Yeah.
talk about body fat as a swimmer and did. they really have like really flat chests. A
So
lot
they
of.
do.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder how that works. I'm gonna have to go back and go
Yeah,
down a rabbit hole with research. I'm like, as an athlete, like, cause my breast never went away. Like, that's
me
where my fat
either.
is. Like, I
Because I've
like would,
lost weight and they're so
yeah.
stubborn. They do not go away.
No, like I remember at one point, like I probably had, I don't know if zero body fat is a real thing, but like really at my peak as an athlete, I was all tone, and the breast was the only fat. Like nothing moved on me, but the breast. So it's like, no matter how much you work out,
Yeah,
if they're gonna be there, they're gonna be there.
yeah,
Some of
right.
them
No,
are really
I'm the same
interesting.
way.
What'd you say?
I said I'm the same way. I
Yeah.
know some people like they will lose from their chest, but no, they're quite stubborn. But I was like looking up, I was trying to find some like busty athletes, and the only one I can remember was like Misty Copeland. She is a double
Mm-hmm.
D, and she's talked about that, obviously on top of other challenges she had in the ballet world, but like big boobs was one of them as well for her. Just like
Yeah.
things didn't fit her, and there's kind of some stigma with that body type in the
Yeah.
dance world.
It's gotta change all that. Gotta change it.
Mhm.
um, Bridget, do you have any stories of non-busty friends not getting some busty nuances? Uh-oh.
Mm, yeah, I think so. I would say my biggest experience that I was the most like annoyed at was on my wedding day. My sister watched, so she's gonna die, but I didn't have like bridesmaids or anything, so my sister's really the only one that was like helping me on the day of. And I decided to like take that plunge, a huge leap, and do a backless dress because I'm like, when else like you dream about a backless dress if you're busty? So I'm like, I'm going for it. It's my wedding day. And I practiced with boob tape, like felt really good. And my sister doesn't live near me, so we couldn't have like a trial. And so it was like showtime on the day of. And of course, on the day of, like the boob tape situation is a total mess. Like she didn't even like grasp it, understand it. And she's very small chested, just naturally. And I think when she saw my boob, she was like, oh my gosh, like it was a lot of chest for her. And she just could not maneuver it. And tension was really high. And I was very annoyed because I was like, somebody who perhaps is bigger chested would have understood this or maybe just took it more seriously than she did. And luckily I had a coordinator the day of who was like, I'm strapping you in and this is not going to be a problem. And once she strapped me in, there was no problem. Like they were in, but that was a moment I wish I had filmed because I'm like, this is someone who just does not get in. I love my sister very much, but I was very annoyed in that moment. Yeah, I feel like there's just stuff like that where I think people who are small chested just like wouldn't think would be such a big deal.
Or man, my husband bought a swimsuits for me, and I looked at him, and I grabbed, like, snatched it and threw him in the closet. Like I'm just like not even gonna bother with it. I looked at the cup, like, what is this gonna do? Like just going off, like you can't buy me a medium or a large. I'm like that. This is not worth. So yeah, if they're not, they gotta ask questions.
Yes.
So with that, how would you say that non-busty friends can better show up for their busty friends?
Follow my account.
Yeah, that's step one.
Yeah, I think just like in general, being aware of just what your friends might go through, even like uh I'm trying to think of certain things with like my friends that I'm like, oh, I should like someone who's like maybe on the shorter end. Like my husband's 6'4" and I'm like a full foot shorter than him. And I'm like, oh, like he has become aware of like things I can't reach. And just like I think we can all just be more aware of like what our friends go through and try to help them where we can and show up a little bit better.
Good. Yeah. What do you think is the most important need right now when it comes to breasts, whether that be apparel, support, medical needs, rights
Mm.
as full bust women? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think in general, I think everyone who has boobs should take like the first step and just like learning more about your boobs, like getting to know your boobs, what is different, like if you were to feel a different lump there, like discoloration in your nipple, like just start to get to know your own chest. I think even myself before I started Busties, like I never did like the whole feel yourself on the first breast check ever. Like I didn't really like my boobs, so I just pretended they didn't exist. I think just the first step everyone can do is like start to get to know your chest a little bit more. And I also just finished this book that came out recently. It's called Tits Up by Sarah Thornton. And it's all about the history and like cultural history of boobs and like how boobs have like changed throughout history and like how what sizes are deemed beautiful and when and like history of breastfeeding, also just how like the patriarchy, now I'm getting really deep, has really used boobs to keep women in their place with like bras and corsets, like literally keeping people almost in pain to stay in their lane. And that was just something I never really thought about until I read Tits Up by Sarah Thornton. She really does like a triple double click on boobs, and it's really interesting.
She did have like some valid points of things were like, oh, I never thought about that before.
Ah,
It's like a deep delve into breast.
yeah, all into boobs. There's
Yeah,
much to be learned.
yeah, for sure. For sure. Um, so what is your breast advice to anyone? Imagine it might go to your busties, but what are some words of positivity that you would like to leave here for our viewers today
I
on
did think of
International
this.
Friendship Day?
My breast advice. So I have like two pieces of advice. My first piece of advice is if you're thinking about starting something, like anything, whether it's a boob Instagram account or huge side hustle, starting your own business, or like even like maybe buying a house, which is a whole thing these days. I wrote here, delay is not denial. I
Mhm.
think, it takes time to start to see the fruits of your labor. And just because something is delayed doesn't mean it's denied. And I've really learned that through starting Busties Forever and getting followers. Like it doesn't happen right away. Or starting Boobs on the Move. Yes, I have a grand vision for it, but it hasn't started right away. So I think it's important to remember to be patient. And again, like just because something's delayed doesn't mean it's denied. And then my second piece of advice is for people who have big boobs. I would just say, like, be you, big boobs and all. And I think there's probably never been a better time to have big boobs because finally companies are paying attention. Finally, we have amazing people like all of us right now that are talking about boobs and want to make it better, especially for young girls who are developing big boobs and feel like they have no resources and don't know who to go to talk about it. And I think, there's a magic in big boobs too. It doesn't need to be all horrible. So those are my pieces of advice for my breast friends.
Yes. I'll
Yeah.
add that with the run club, keep it up. And because I think about recently I spoke to someone who has a run club and they were like, oh yeah, I was here when it was just 7 people when it started.
Mm,
And now they were celebrating their maybe 7 year anniversary with
wow.
the 5K. And then there's definitely a lot more than 7 people for sure. It's like a plethora. So yeah, keep it.
Yeah.
And especially even if you do go to another coast, then you'll have that much more of a following. And even though you'll still be starting afresh there, like you can still do it for sure.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
like
Absolutely. All right.
it.
And then where can folks find you?
Yeah, definitely follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Busties, Busties forever. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
So
Thank you.
yeah, we're definitely happy to
Yeah,
have
this is
you on
awesome.
here to talk.
Finally, yes. So awesome. I'm such a fan, and y'all are doing the Lord's work as we you really
As
are
are
in these.
you. As are
I
you.
can't believe it.
Yeah.
Like 51 episodes. Like that's huge. And to stick
Oh,
with it, and like this is work on top of your day-to-day lives. So
yeah.
it's so, so important. And I'm honored to be here with y'all.
Well, thanks. Thanks for joining in this conversation and much needed conversation. And thanks for putting community out there because it's
Yeah.
much needed.
Yeah,
Yes.
we do. I like that. And I like your posts, and especially after awards or red carpets. I always like
Oh,
those.
we love that. I
The
forgot
Lord's
about those.
work
Those are so
for these
fun.
major
I
events.
should have
We
done
love it.
something for the BET Awards. I'm like so behind because I have a new. I saw like a snippet of a couple performances I need to
Yeah, me
watch.
too.
You keep us in the know what's going on.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I definitely miss most of the award shows. But I see like I see it on social media more these days
Yeah.
because life.
You
But
bring in the busty news.
yes.
Yes. The big boobs and pop culture. We
See
need
it
to
like
know.
flashing across the screen. Live from Busty News. We're red carpet at the BET Awards. I like
Or put it
that.
on a vision board.
Yes,
Yes.
that would be
Yeah.
cool. That's funny. With
It
the
will
lip
be.
sync. Do do
Yeah.
do 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 do. It's funny. That's cool. I like that. So hopefully, yeah, try to make that happen. Try to get to a red carpet for us and make it look all great and interview all these celebrities. That would be so cool. We're gonna put that in the atmosphere for you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
gonna happen. I mean,
Yes.
I was saying earlier, I'm probably moving to LA in August,
Oh,
Yeah,
you
so
can make it happen.
that's the plan.
happen.
You gotta just meet a few people and
Yeah,
that'll be the
Jessica
right thing for
Simpson, and she'll get it.
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
She's gonna be
Yep.
your first interviewee.
Right.
Yes, like, and I could be like, "What are you wearing under that dress?" Like, everybody who has big boobs wants to know how you're holding them up. Like, is it boob tape? Is it some bra? Like, what is going on?
Did the designer build a bra in the dress? Let us know.
Mm.
I know. So I feel like those, like for my wedding dress, they did build in kind of like cups, but I did not feel supported. I needed that boob tape.
Ah, I
I don't
see.
know. I'm sus about the built-in bra.
I've never tried it. I don't even know where to start with that.
I will say there is a brand, and we've interviewed them in Brago, but it's bra-free
Mm.
clothing. So she has dresses too. She doesn't make wedding dresses. Who maybe she should, but
Yeah,
and I wear her top, and it's a pour, and I feel comfortable
I'm gonna
and
check it
lifted in
out.
it. Yeah. So she makes bra-free clothing, but it will to me that would be similar to what a built-in bra would be like for particular tops and dresses.
Yeah, oh, good to know.
Yeah. If I remember, I'll send you her page so you can have a
Yes,
look at it.
please.
Yeah. But it's been great. I'm glad that we were finally able to connect.
Awesome. Yes, I can't wait.
Yay! Happy Breast Friend Day. We
Yes,
need to come up with a
celebrating early.
calendar day for breast friends.
A calendar date.
Like a holiday, you can make a
Oh,
holiday for anything.
National
So,
Day.
what would be the breast friend holiday?
Yeah.
Like National Breast Friend Day.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What would be the best time?
Yeah. We could think on that and come back with it. Be like, all
Yeah.
right, now we're celebrating National Breast Friend Day.
See what happens when you put some breasts together.
Exactly.
Get results.
Big things happen.
Everybody needs some breasts in their lives. They want. I'm trying to tell you for centuries. So, I like it. So again, we can't express our thanks enough for joining us. It's been a pleasure. And everyone make sure that you are going to follow her and her journey. And we're gonna get her to the red carpet and we're gonna get these numbers up in the run club as well and continue to do the Lord's work. And yeah, so make sure that y'all come back to us next episode as we'll um be entering back to school season. So we're
Mhm.
gonna have to discuss some things when it comes to that. So be on the lookout for it and let us know all of your thoughts. Until next time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.